Well, yesterday my wife asked me if I could do some wood turning on my metal lathe. And I said, probably if I made an adapter for it. And I got going on that adapter, and this morning I realized I should be making a video out of this. It may be something that works quite well. So anyway, yesterday, this is what I got done yesterday, and it's kind of just the blank for it. This part here is, well, it's 1 inch long and a 1/2 inch in diameter. This part here is just a little less than 1 inch in diameter, because the stock I used was 1 inch and I just cleaned it up. And it is actually, let's see, about 5/8 long. And I drilled a 3/16 hole right through the whole thing. And we can explain why I did that later. And the reason I made this a 1/2 inch was this is the part that's going to be fitting into the lathe chuck. But I thought if I don't use the lathe chuck and I just remove the lathe chuck, I then am left with a Morse taper, which I could put my 1/2 inch drill chuck into. And if I make this 1/2 inch instead of, say, 5/8, I would be able to put it in that drill chuck, which would be in the head of the lathe. So from here, what we're going to try to do is put some teeth on this, probably 4 of them, so it engages with the wood and pushes into the wood and is able to turn the wood. And my plan is to do that on the mill. So this is the business end of the driver. We have this 3/16 hole in the middle. And I'm going to have some driver teeth on this that are going to go something like this. And I don't want the teeth to be too long. So what I'm going to do is put this in the lathe, and this hole right here, I'm going to increase the size, the diameter of this hole, so it's a little bit bigger. But I'm only going to go, maybe, I don't know, 1/4 of an inch or 3/8 of an inch or something like that deep. We'll see what it looks like. And the reason for that is I don't want these edges, which are going to be like sharp edges, and they're going to dig into the wood. I don't want them to be too long. I don't want to have to apply a lot of pressure to get them to go in. So it would be better if I give it some clearance in the middle here. I'm going to go in that hole with a 5/16 end mill, and maybe a couple hundred thou, 1/4 inch, and see what that looks like. Okay, so we have the hole in here. We went in 200 thou, and while I had it in the lathe, I wanted to make sure that this 3/16 piece of drill rod would actually go through here. It was a little tight. I had used a 3/16 drill, and usually they drill a little bit oversized, but we were really close, so I put a number 12 drill through here so that this slides fairly easy now, and there's hardly any slop in it. I like to get my cutter on center here of the big piece, which is right in the middle there. So I'm going to bring my cutter down until it touches. I'm going to zero it there and drop it exactly half of this diameter on the big part here. So I decided to go with a 5/16 cutter. I picked up the top and dropped down, not all the way to center. I stopped about 20 thousandths short of being on center with the bottom of that cutter. I set my X direction stop so that the cutter will only go 150 thousandths in that direction. So now we need to set up so that the cutter will not go past center in the Y direction. That's this way, in and outwise. And we're going to stop short on that too, about 20 thou. So right now we're just going to pick up this edge here with the cutter, zero that, and make sure that when we're winding, actually the table will be going inwards. When we're winding inwards, we don't go past center. We want to stop before we get to center. Well, I was thinking that 467 thousandths would be my max value in order not to go past center with the cutter, but I've decided to stop at 400 just to take a look and see if everything is okay. And to do that, I have set up an indicator here. So when I wind here and go to 0, we're at 400 over here going across this way. Well, my idea of putting the indicator on didn't work well. It seemed to move and slip around, so I gave up on that. I was really nervous about getting these too thin. So what I'm going to do now, after I've got them all fairly close, is go over everything again, every 90 degrees all the way around, and get these a lot thinner so they're a small edge that will penetrate the wood. Well, this did not turn out to be such a well-calculated thing as I thought. All these teeth thicknesses turned out to be a little bit different, but I think it just might work anyway. I'm just going to put a little bit of an edge on the back edge of all of these so that they bite in a little bit better. And we can put it on the lathe and see if it works. So what I've done here is I drilled and tapped for a 10/24 set screw, which is in the back here. I took that tap, or the threaded portion, down a ½ inch. And then I cut this center, if I can get it out of here, holding the camera with one hand. Okay, I cut this to length so that when it fits in here, I'm going to put the camera down for a second. Okay, so when it fits in here, it retracts, and it retracts past these pieces right here that stick out into the wood. And what that does is it gets you on center. You can see what happened here when I guessed at the center. I'm kind of off. But when we have the little point here, we can put the point into the center and then slide things on, and we're going to be right on center.